On-demand listening is made possible by Bellarmine University. Grounded in the liberal arts and sciences, Bellarmine offers over 50 majors and 15 graduate and advanced degree programs. More at bellarmine.edu.
Here on 91.9 WFPK Radio Louisville, I'm Kyle Meredith, and as promised, for the past hour and 4 minutes, Josh Tillman.
Good morning, Louisville. You're listening to Drive Time Radio with Father John Misty.
You could do this.
Yeah.
That's good.
Listen to that.
That's good.
My show is only half sold out, so I'm here at the radio station promoting it. I'll be here until we get to 2,000 tickets.
Let's be honest. Otherwise, you wouldn't have dealt with me today. You're just like,
I'd never be here if it wasn't for management putting my hand to the flame and telling me I need to promote my new album.
Well, Don Pardo, I think we have a nice little rapport, but you
Don Pardo
crushed it all right there.
All right, I'm out.
Yeah, that's good. That was good. I count that. You know, now we all said we had the Father John Misty interview, and we tweeted out and tell everybody to go listen. So, well done. Hey, welcome back to Louisville.
Thank you.
It's good to see you again. You're Father John Misty playing at the Palace Theater tonight. It's a big step up. Last time, I think you were still in the clubs, and now you've gone to the theaters.
Yeah. I think we basically just took like a club show and put it inside of a giant theater.
It's a pretty theater.
Yeah, it is. I think I just did it with Alabama Shakes.
Oh, were you here on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a roadie.
I was obviously not there.
I was running lights.
You've got your plan B if things fall apart for you. You can always stand back.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny that you say that because I've noticed a few artists, and we're talking like mid-level artists, they've done that in their time off instead of just like going home and sitting. I've seen them like running merch for other bands.
Economy.
Yeah, we got to keep going.
Yeah, in this T-shirt economy.
How are your T-shirt sales right now?
I think they're actually doing pretty well.
Oh.
Considering.
Seriously, all joking aside, you seem to be doing very well right now. Like things seem to be going really well again. This new record. The reviews are great as long as you're not reading comments on YouTube sections, as we've said before. But if you don't see that, it looks like you're doing really well.
Yeah, I feel strong. The shows are going really great. I have to say that I'm really, by and large, just surprised at the diversity of people and also just, I guess, the continued sort of response to the record, that it's meant something.
It's interesting you see the diversity of the people in the crowd.
Yeah, because I mean I only bring that up because the album feels so specific to me, and it feels so kind of like rooted in these deeply. I mean, there's a counterintuitive law involved with music or whatever form of expression where it's like for some reason the more personal or singular the something is the more kind of universal appeal it has, which is nice for some kind of faith in the brotherhood of man.
Right. I've thought that about a lot of things because you'll have a band who's like, oh, I need to write, what's the word I'm looking for?
Like cloyingly accessible.
Yeah,
music.
They need to write very accessible so everybody can get it, but then it's just forgettable.
Yeah.
And I like songs that use specific names. Like I notice those things. Like if they use specific names or if it's about an actual situation that, like you're right, I would relate to that probably a lot more than the latest U2 song.
It's that way with a lot of things. I mean, it's if you aim straight for original, you just end up with like pretentious avant-garde, just whatever, or it's the same, or with authenticity or something. If you aim straight for authenticity, I mean, then you really end up with pretentious, like, and a lot of people's. I mean, I guess a lot of people's idea of authenticity is so rooted in kind of like external signifiers, like, oh, he's from such and such a place, or he's dressed in such and such a way, or his music evokes the affectations of some period of time that we deem to be more authentic than the time in which we live, or whatever. But a lot of the time, originality or authenticity or whatever it is achieved by, it's a byproduct of looking for something that's beyond those kind of things. You know, I mean, Dylan's a great example of somebody who's like, I mean, on paper, you couldn't really find a more unoriginal artist. I mean, he was just lifting these blues tropes wholesale, you know. But there was something about him, something about the way that he did it that it's hard to articulate, but it's just there. The guy's an original.
Well, especially at a time when it wasn't like, you know, I could pull up Spotify and just like, he was even like a messenger at that time. Yeah. I mean, it's one way to look back on that in history and go, dude was just ripping off people.
Yeah.
Really well done ripping off people. I mean, he's probably, you know, my top 3 favorite artists, but at the same time, it was a time when he was actually saying, I love this and I want to show you this, and so I'm going to use it, you know, in my filter.
Yeah, and I mean, that sort of rational interpretation of music doesn't serve anyone very well in terms of understanding what music is anyway. I mean, music is this thing that binds people through the centuries, you know. It's this commonality. I mean, it drives me crazy when people talk about cultural appropriation or whatever else in terms of music, because that music it's there for everyone, you know, whether it's gospel music or Afro-punk or, you know, whatever it is, you know. I mean, sure, things start in a certain place, but that music, but all music is meant to be handed off. And I mean, you know, music operates the way that genes do or whatever, you know. I mean, they're self-replicating automatons.
I think I've said it a lot of times, but I find it really exciting to kind of be in this age because the generation that's came up doesn't believe in genre. You know, when you're talking about, you can just take gospel and you can take Afro-punk and all that, like, and I don't know what that's attributed to, just, you know, the swing of a new class, or if it's the shuffle button on an iPod in 2001.
Which, it's sort of ironic that's the case too, because the medium through which people experience music now is all about datafication, and it's all about classification and understanding a listener through the, you know, whatever metric of genre, you know. So it's interesting that those things are that those factors are working like in concert with one another.
Thank goodness for live DJs.
Yeah. Where would we be without you, Kyle?
Without me. I'm talking with Father John Misty. Josh Tillman here on 91.9 WFPK, playing tonight at the Palace. And since we're talking about this, it is a good moment then to play something a bit odd.
Yeah.
Which I have given the controls over to you to pick.
Yeah.
What is this?
This is just something that I think that I like Shazammed this. Mm-hmm. Speaking of, you know, music mediums.
That's all gone into their metrics, too. Although I think a guy like you is probably only messing up their metrics.
Yeah. I mean, I have a pretty ugly, like, iTunes. It makes very little sense. It's like pure geometric or geo mapping statistical anomaly. But this is, I don't know, I was probably in a Chipotle or something. I like Shazammed this.
I'm glad you did. Do you, Ann Lou is her name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. All right. Let's check this out. I'm not even going to try to say, I feel like I'd mess up the title of this.
It's called Freebird.
Freebird, the radio edit.
Yeah.
91.9 WFPK. We'll be talking more with Josh here in just a second. WFPK Radio Louisville. That is a pick from Mr. Josh Tillman, Father John Misty, and Lou here on 91.9 WFPK. And again, Father John Misty playing tonight at the Louisville Palace. I got to keep saying it to help his ticket sales continue.
So. They're dismal. Not nearly as dismal as Ann Lou's presence in the Louisville market now.
Now it's less.
There's someone sitting at a console somewhere in France, just like, boss, you got to get in here. I don't know if this is a mistake or what, but we are taking over the Louisville market.
We got that one good spin. They see it on their Nielsen charts, right?
We got to get her out there ASAP.
I was thinking earlier. Again, you and I last saw each other in, I think it was May, whenever the Gulf Shores festival was, Hangout Fest, and so we kind of did our interview, and I thought, what's happened since then? And I looked down a list. And you want to know what's happened since we've seen each other? There was a FIFA scandal. Cuba relations were restored for the first time in forever. We saw Pluto up close and found water on Mars. A big refugee migration happening in Europe. Volkswagen recall. I think that's important.
Yeah.
Donald Trump and Kim Davis.
Yeah.
That's what's happened since you and I last saw each other.
It's amazing the butterfly effect that our conversation had.
It's dangerous.
Yeah.
When
you and I get together, the world goes to shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. You have a 7-second delay.
It's delaying everywhere else in the world right now.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what's happened since we last. So I guess that's a bit of a PSA to our audience. You know, maybe to get under the desk.
Yeah, I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows what's next?
But you've had a lot going on in your own world. I know there's a new music video I did want to bring up. The night Josh Tillman came to our apartment, got its own video, and it's a really cool video.
Thank you.
Where you meet yourself in a bar.
Yeah.
You take yourself home.
Yeah.
Get a little close with yourself, and then you take the walk of shame the next morning.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if you're asking me what the.
I don't think there's a question, but I would love you to talk.
So that's what happened.
I will tell you. I think if Freud were still alive, he would just be jumping up and down, like yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of psychoanalysis and Freud and Lacan and like Zizek, kind of Slavoj Zizek, kind of is sort of my gateway to understanding those guys as much as I can. I mean, I can't, even like with Jung, I mean, like most of his books are totally like impenetrable to me. But there was a Freud, that video and the song too was kind of partially inspired by this Freud quote it's precisely the superficial differences between people that are otherwise alike that inform the hostility between them. Mm-hmm. And I think some of the misconception around that song is, and sure, the song is, I do like, to be honest, that I do like to provoke, in some ways, but that there really is, that the point of that song, aside from it, that it is just messy and ugly, and I felt like in order to write about myself and my experience with intimacy and whatever, I had to include the messy aspects of it, and I had to include the ugliness, in order for it to be real. But that the point of that song is like, maybe on first listen you just hear this laundry list of petty grievances against this girl, but that ultimately it's me that's the asshole, in the song, like, and the video, because I mean, who does that? It's like there are all these self-righteous, all this self-righteousness and all this like justification of like why I'm better than this person. But then I'm still there and I'm still in this person's bed, and like, what is it that I'm looking for from this person if I really feel that I'm like so much better than them? Why don't I just leave? And the chorus that like, oh my God, this never happens, like that, I mean, that's about like, this like impotence, this like male powerlessness, and that's what happens with powerlessness is you lash out, Mm-hmm. And so the video, I think, and this is part of why I like videos, is being able to like contextualize or to give subtext, like to explore the subtext of a song. And that for me it was like these two people are not all that different. You're just hearing my side of the story. You know, if you were to hear her take on the story,
what would she say about you?
It would sound a lot different, but it would also probably, you know, be the same. You know, like it's just like this guy is an asshole. You know, and she would be right. You know, so I'm kind of playing chicken with the listener a little bit, and I've been accused, I guess, of justifying, maybe rightly so, justifying the misogyny in the song with like a bunch of, you know, hot air, so to speak. But
it's catchy. You said a lot of eloquent stuff, and I'm only adding, and it's catchy.
It's a catchy, yeah. I mean, I like misdirection and in some, and I would almost go as far as to say, if you listen to the way that the lyric is even being delivered as a singer, that it is not this like joyful, I'm not like indulging in like how great it is, you know, like it's this like soulless song, you know, and it needed to have this antiseptic, clinical, kind of chimey, soulless sound, you know, in order to convey just how kind of like empty and shallow the song is and the sentiments in it. So anyway, the video is like this, you know, just this way of like exploring the narcissism in it, you know, where it's like, I mean, narcissism is like, I think, largely misunderstood as being like synonymous with egotism or self-love or something. And there is definitely egotism. There's a component of egotism in narcissism, but a narcissist is someone who's like who has a total lack of self-awareness, and they look for their identity in externalities, you know, in their phone or in other people or whatever. And that's why they're constantly seeking out their own image out in the external world, because they have no concept of what it is. They have no functional concept of who they are. And I think that I was really wrapped up in that for a few years, where I had no working concept or no functional self-worth. So I was looking for it, and it's like, if I can get laid tonight, then that means that I'm like an attractive person that people like.
Well, especially at a time when people are just throwing all of this praise at you suddenly.
Yeah, that's the real that's the real danger.
Yeah.
Of that stuff, is that it works, and you're getting a steady stream of some kind of like concept of who you are. You know, but that's why people need to wean themselves off at some point in your life, if you want to get to some state of higher consciousness or something, which is what we're here for. I mean, that's the most fundamental dynamic of human life, is to move from a state of lower consciousness to higher consciousness. You have to wean yourself off like the social media and all that stuff, because it makes you spiritually diabetic. You know, to where you need this IV drip of affirmation of like who you are, some kind of reminder of who you are and what you're about. You have to cultivate some kind of your own understanding of who you are, and you have to be able to go back to that and trust that it's real. But so that video, I'm glad it's behind me. I will probably never play it again after this tour, because it just is gross.
Well, it would actually be good radio if I went into that right now, but that's not what we're going to do. Now that we've just talked about that for 10 minutes, let's instead play a song by the Bee Gees.
I'm sure everyone's heard it.
No, in fact, you did.
Buy tickets to my show. If you're interested in more rambling monologues like this, you'll love my concert tonight.
You did pick out a Bee Gees song. Why did you pick out "I Lay Down and Die"? Because it sounds like a Josh Tillman title. That's why.
It sounds more like a J. Tillman.
J. Tillman, that's it.
I think I have like an album. There's a J. Tillman album called Lay Down. I just am like loving this album, and I just love the fact. I mean, this is like mid '70s or something, and the Bee Gees. I think Robin had just left the group at this point, and to make Robin Reigns, and these guys are just on their own planet, you know. Just
I even heard one of their Saturday Night Live Saturday Night Fever hits earlier today, and it's funny that you bring this up because that's what I was thinking. It's like, my God, these guys were so good, and it's easy to think about them in a time where it's like, corny Bee Gees,
right? Well,
but they were so good.
Yeah, well. The Saturday Night Fever thing was just such an obviously such a, I mean, it's hard to imagine a world wherein that song doesn't exist, you know, but they were Beatles level as far as like the sophistication of their music compositionally and whatever, and the depth of like creativity and experimentation and whatever in their whole catalog. I mean, yeah, this soundtrack is just, it's like all I've been listening to.
Well, let's play it right now. Cucumber Castle is the album. So I Lay Down and Die from the Bee Gees. Father John Misty here on 91.9 WFPK. It's the Bee Gees here on 91.9 WFPK. Another pick from Josh Tillman. Father John Misty, who's playing tonight at the Louisville Palace. The details on that over at WFPK.org. He's going to play a song for us in just a moment, and we got one more guest DJ pick, I guess, to get here in a few seconds. But there was a song you put out into the world recently, the Memo. Which is a great song, and like a few other things you put out into the world, it was kind of also gone.
Yeah.
Very quickly. But it's an interesting song because I know, I guess when I look at it, and I haven't read your meaning of it, but you read the lyrics and you go, as a person in the media, you kind of hear that and you go, okay, because I know that you've got this tricky relationship, especially with digital media, I guess. And is that what the Memo is sort of poking at a little bit?
That song, I mean, the title, the Memo, is sort of like, I imagine it being like this memo that is going around essentially like this fictitious symbolic halls of power of some imaginary entertainment conglomerate.
Kind of like Republican talking points.
Basically saying that that look, like people, I mean, it's hard, without having had people hear the song per se, but I think people are quick to dismiss the significance of the ways in which we entertain ourselves. I think that the ways in which we choose to entertain ourselves have an impact on our capacity for, I guess, what I was talking about earlier, like consciousness, and that it isn't strictly innocuous, that it can actually have like a corrosive effect, and I mean, there's I think the best line in the song is there's lyrics leading up to you, but you'll allow them to tell you that you're the eater and not the eaten, but that your hunger will only cease if you come binge on radiant blandness at the disposable feast. And you can spend a life that way. Yeah.
And these are the same people that you say in the song that while they secretly hate you, they're also telling you that you're the
I mean, it's about narcissism too, I mean, this epidemic, you know, like that you let them tell you that you're a glorious, and then I'd say a curse word for scat that the entire world revolves around. And I mean, as the world is getting smaller, small things take up all your time. You know, I'm just trying to like, just this. It's easy. It's easy to dismiss this stuff. It's hard to talk about this stuff without being so easily dismissible as being either paranoid or like a conspiracy theorist or something.
Yeah, but when
you know,
it shouldn't be that hard to see coming from you, because like I said, when we step back, I see, and maybe I can't say we because it's just me, I see that you do have this interesting, tricky relationship with the media.
Yeah.
That you've got, you know, critical acclaim, and you've got, you know, great fan base, and at the same time, you're always having to defend yourself while having some fun.
Yeah, I mean, that song, it was kind of misinterpreted as having been written in direct response to this Ryan Adams Taylor Swift thing, which was very much just like from conception to it being like a global news item was like an hour.
Yeah.
An hour from like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to do a cover, you know, like walking by my tour manager's office, and she was listening to the record, and I was like, oh, is this the cover of the thing? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, I'm going to do a cover of the cover of his cover in the style of the
Velvet
Smiths,
Underground. Yeah.
in the style of the Velvet Underground. You know,
which the turnaround, by the way, was so impressive that I honestly didn't believe it at first. Like, you must have had this just laying around.
It was. I mean, I hadn't even really heard the original material.
Yeah.
So I was like, just print out the lyrics, and I'm just gonna. So I hadn't really. I mean, I'm sure I'd heard them in like I'm sure I'd been like walking by a Cinnabon or something at the airport and heard it, but I didn't know. Like, I mean, obviously structurally, my versions have musically nothing to do with the originals, which anyone could tell.
Listen, I do want to say they were really good, by the way.
I think that they have merit.
I was sad when they also left. You know, I was like, all right.
But you know, I put them up assuming that I'm just so naive. You know, I mean, well, no, I'm not. On some level, I knew that it would resonate.
Poking the bear?
On some level, yeah. But on another level, not to the extent that it did. So by the time I got back to the bus that night, my TM was like, it's like the top trend on Facebook. It's like it's on USA Today. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I went and took them down, thinking like, okay, now that's over.
I guess that shouldn't be surprising, because Taylor being, you know, the biggest pop star in the world right now, Ryan Adams, who Ryan Adams is, and you are. Like, it's just prime for people, for headlines, clickbait headlines, and the like.
So I took them down thinking like, well, you know, like, that's that.
Yeah, right.
And then woke up to this deluge of emails that were like, everyone wants a statement as to why they're gone. Which I thought, like, this, you like have to be kidding me. And an email to the Sub Pop publicist or something from you know, Taylor Swift's, that's like, why did he take them down? You know? And basically, I don't know. It's just this crazy kind of articulation for me, the difference between like traditional power and postmodern power, where like traditional power would be like, take those covers down. Like, those aren't your songs, whatever. Right. But postmodern power is like, you have to keep those up. You have to keep those,
because it's helping out her career.
You have to keep them up because that's not her narrative. That's not her image, you know? And what I realized was that people assumed that there was this traditional power thing at play, which was like that, you know, like I'm sure she didn't even hear the tunes. I mean, whatever, you know. Yeah. But there was this narrative out there that was like that, you know, the big bad major label artist came after, you know, the indie guy and told him to take whatever down. That said, I wasn't going to play ball with these people who wanted me to come out and say, I wouldn't, you know, so and so didn't this. I just whatever, just getting everybody off the hook. And I was annoyed at them. I was annoyed at the media that you know. Mm-hmm. So I was like, these people will print anything. So I went and gave them the most fraudulent, like the most blatantly absurd, unprintable piece of surrealistic nonsense.
And they printed it. They printed it. This is Lou Reed coming to you in a dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is just obviously nonsense.
Yeah.
You know, but they need it. They need it to be a story so badly,
right?
Because it took off, and they have these. I mean, these stories. I hate to break it to everyone, but they don't get printed in order of actual significance or importance or cultural edification. It's purely cynical. It's the most cynical thing in the world, and the irony is that I get called a cynic for putting out something like that, when the whole system is predicated entirely on the cynicism of like, these idiots will read anything. They'll believe anything, you know? And I mean, that's what bothered me about the whole thing, is that all these ridiculous off-brand think pieces that got written about it were talking about my like near toxic cynicism, you know, where what I did was, that was just like pure creativity, you know, and pure creativity looks really bizarre out there in the world,
right.
You know, like a piece of just creative writing as a news story, you know, it's just, there's nowhere to put that. There's no way to understand it. And people just projected their own need for some kind of cultural warrior moment, like on me. Mm-hmm. You know, there's this undercurrent of aggression and frustration about the fact that we all just consume this garbage all day long, and nowhere to focus that frustration on. So they chose me.
How was that?
Where I just did, to me, it was just like a way to fill an hour in a day, you know. But how it spun out of control, that wasn't me, man. I mean,
yeah.
Sorry.
You just put.
I know that would be a lot easier for people, but it's like you make the world that you live in, you know.
Well, I hope this doesn't scare you away from doing these things in the future, because that was fun, and you've done little things here and there, but I like those things, you know. But I don't have to deal with them like you do.
No, I mean, I didn't enjoy having like the eye of Sauron turned on me in that way.
Yeah.
And I didn't like people putting words in my mouth in terms of like what the Holy Crusade that it was like turned into was all about. But yeah, I mean, it is something that I'm not sure that's, I'm not sure that do we have time to just go like a little more?
Sure, go for it.
The thing about irony that I'm like struggling with at this point, in terms of irony, in terms of like these sort of escapades, is that sure, on some level it can serve as when irony is sublime, it can serve as like a wake up call, you know, and you can Trojan horse something into the consciousness, but more often than not, it is anesthetizing, and it gives people permission, and it's a way of giving people permission to keep living the way they're living by like making a joke out of it, and by saying like, well, haha, aren't we all so self-aware? And like, since I am making fun of this kind of thing, I'm allowed to keep doing it, you know? And that's not the function that I want to serve, like in my life or in the culture or whatever infinitesimal impact I have on the culture or whatever else. It's just this you see it in advertising all the time, you know, where it's like, since we know that commercials just have to exist, that they're just an inevitability of human life. They may as well be funny. They may as well be entertaining. And since we know that we're a commercial and you know that we're a commercial, then we can just go ahead and make fun of the fact that we're a commercial, but you can still get the commercials that you have to get just by virtue of being a human on planet Earth. And that kind of thing, it's like, yeah, it makes you feel above it all for a split second, but it's at that split second that you're a part of the whole thing. That you're a sucker.
Yeah. Spoon bowl, nom 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 nom.
Yeah.
Nom. Yeah.
So yeah. Okay. We can edit this down, right? It's live, so that's
Father John Misty here on 91.9 WFPK. He's actually going to play a song live for us next, and he's playing at the Palace tonight. And he chose a song from Charlotte Gainsbourg from the IRM record, and that's what we're going to play right now. And then we'll turn it over to you with the guitar, okay?
Yeah.
You feel all right?
Feel great.
You need a hug?
No.
All right. It's 91.9 WFPK. Father John Misty is playing tonight at the Louisville Palace, and he's also just given me my longest live on-air interview, so thanks for that, Josh.
And another thing.
This has been really fun. Thank you so much. Yeah. We love the new record. You got a live song for us right now. Yeah.
How many people rise and say, my brain's so awfully glad to be here for yet another mindless day. Now I've got all morning to obsessively crew a small nation of meaningful objects. They've gotta represent me too. And by this afternoon I'll live in debt, and by tomorrow be replaced by children. How many people rise and think, oh good, the stranger's body's still here. Our arrangement hasn't changed. Now I've got a lifetime to consider all the ways I grow more disappointing to you as my beauty warps and fades. And I suspect you feel the same. When I was young, I dreamt of a passionate obligation to a roommate. Is this the part where I get all I ever wanted? Who said that? Can I get my money back? I'm just a little bored in the USA. Oh, just a little bored in the USA. Save me, white Jesus, bored in the USA. Oh, They gave me a useless education and a subprime loan on a craftsman home. Keep my prescriptions filled, and now I can't get off, but I can kind of deal with being born in the USA. Oh, just a little born in the USA. Save me, President Jesus, I'm born in the USA. Wait, how did it happen? Born in the USA. Oh,
It's Father John Misty here on 91.9 WFPK Louisville, a member-supported Louisville public media station. Again, Father John Misty tonight at the Palace. Come, support, have fun, and thank you.
On-demand listening is made possible by Bellarmine University. Grounded in the liberal arts and sciences, Bellarmine offers over 50 majors and 15 graduate and advanced degree programs. More at bellarmine.edu.